So I got this opportunity to actually work with people and actually live with six like-minded people, all on self-improvement and all that shit, making money. One was on his way to make like 100k a month. Some are making like some are sales meisters making. I think he was making like 20k a month or something like that. One like studying astrogenics like crazy and all that shit. Fucking jacked guys in there as well. And then I spoke to the guy who hosted all of this, and I said like, yeah, I do really like the opportunity, but I don't know if I'm actually able to work when I'm sitting on a table with like six people or something like that. And this guy, he was new to sales and all that shit, right? And I texted this message to him, and he replied to me, and he said like, "Oh, that's fucking cool, bro. Like, oh, you're coping." And I know he started to get a little bit angry at me and ranting, and I was like, "Bro, what the fuck? Like, I'm only asking if I'm able to work. Like, just find a solution, bro. That's all I'm asking." um, he started ranting at me and telling me I was wrong and all that shit. And to be honest, bro, I was really fucking excited for it, but he almost lost me. He almost lost me living with them in that house. Because he started ranting and all that shit, and I was like, okay, I could get angry back at him right now, but that's not that's not like really good to do. Or I could just say to him like, "Oh, you mean working a scope," or something like that. I mean, it's stupid. I said just something stupid to him. I just said like, "Oh, so you think working a scope?" question mark. And then I just said nothing, and you were like, I was like, "Nah, I'm not going to reply big to this and shit. Like, I've got brain points to spend on my business. You know what I mean?" So what I did learn from that is that you should never get angry at people, because he was kind of trying to sell the house to me, right? Because he really wanted me to get into the house, because to be honest, I'm good at sales. I'm good at business. I'm good at coaching. So yeah, they really wanted me to get in the house and shit, and he tried to kind of sell things to me, and then he got angry at me for no reason, and I was like, oh shit. And then we just talked a little bit, and he just said like, worst case scenario, we just get everybody a separate room where they could work. And I was like, all right, good. Thank you. That was all I had to hear. So if he would just have said that in the first message, it would save like a lot of brain points and all that shit spent on bullshit. It would save like time, because we didn't have to text each other and all that shit. And the reason I tell you this is because I had a client today actually who said like, yeah, sometimes I just say to my clients that they're coping or that something is a limiting belief, and I told him like, bro, don't do it. Please don't. Because to be honest, bro, when you insult people or you say they're wrong, it just spikes up their ego. Like, to be honest, like, I've got ego. I can. How many people online have you seen like saying like, I've got ego, I've got this issue, I've got that. I've got ego, bro. To be honest, like, I've got ego, I'm emotional, like, I don't know, just a lot of things, right? Every single person out there is emotional. Every single person has an ego. You could say a lot about different people and shit, but everybody has ego, everybody has fears, everybody's emotional, blah blah. So when you insult people, it spikes up their ego. When you spike up ego, you're fucked. People are not going to buy from you, because people buy from you when they are relaxed, when they're zen, when they have nothing to think about in their minds and they're just thinking about buying your product. That's when people buy from you. And when you insult people, bro, to be honest, like, people are not going to buy from you. And this is something I want you to think about, because in your sales call, you should never say, oh, that's a limiting belief, or oh, you're wrong. Never, ever. What you should do instead is ask questions. Questions are key. So, let me think. Let me think about an example that I hear a lot. So, for example, I had this guy, and he said to me like, "Yeah, my clients always say they make money, or sorry, they say, I don't know what he said. Like, they say like they know their niche very good or something like that." Or no, it was, sorry, he said like, "Yeah, my clients say they should only charge low prices." And then I asked him like, "Okay, so what have you tried to do about it?" He said like, "Oh yeah, I'm insulting, blah blah, or at least I'm saying it's wrong, blah blah." And then I told him like, "Why don't you just ask the question like, have you tried to charge higher?" Because none of them have, right? Because it's very scary to charge higher prices, because it's a change, right? And your brain doesn't like change. So most of the clients have never charged higher prices. And when you ask them, have you charged higher prices? They will say like, no, I actually haven't. And then you just say like, okay, so do you actually think, how do you actually know for 100% certainty that you should charge higher prices? And then they say like, oh shit, yeah, I don't know, blah blah. Or they say like, oh yeah, I'm did blah blah. And then you just keep asking questions and asking questions. But most of the time, what I actually do, I just ignore it. I just ignore it. If it's not important to the sale, I just ignore it. I just say like, oh yeah, you're right. And then after they bought from you, they already invested mentally into it, so they think like, oh shit, I like this guy, blah blah. They gave you money, so they're invested in what you do, and then you can actually break their limiting beliefs and actually help them further. That's how I plan almost all of my sales calls. I just agree with them, and then I actually break their limiting beliefs later on. And there's a lot of limiting beliefs. I've got this guy one day, and he said like, yeah, I've got 150,000 views, and I offered one product for $20, and nobody was able to buy it because they none of them had money. So I could be saying to him like, you're wrong, they have money, your product is just shit. What would he be able to say to me? He would say like, no, you're wrong, I added this and this and this, because most of the time, to be honest, people just think their shit is better than it actually is. So what I did instead is I would flip it. I would say like, bro, imagine I would give you a lottery ticket of $20, and you would be 100% certain that you would make $20,000 back in 7 days. How much of your audience would take it? Would be able to afford it? And he said like, oh yeah, fucking shit, man, blah blah. I said like, yeah, your audience is spending it on Fortnite skins and shit. And that's when I told him like, his mindset already changed. And then I told him like, so it's probably because your product is shit. And then I'm more likely to believe you because I already agreed with you, blah blah. But the key takeaway is just don't insult people, don't say people are wrong, because it's bullshit. Maybe they're even right. They're probably not, but maybe they're right. So yeah, man, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do you have anything to say? No. The quote of the day. That was a good rhyme, by the way. The quote of the day is, don't insult, what rhymes then on insult? Like, it's crazy. Insult, build cult. Don't insult because you won't build a cult. Good fucking bye, motherfucker.